All right, 3 drug vessels destroyed, Marines deployed, 4,000 warriors positioned off Venezuela's coast, and the cartels thought they could keep poisoning Americans with the fentanyl stuff. And they thought wrong. Trump just changed the rules of engagement, and that's no more treating these terrorists like common criminals, no more playing defense while 100,000 Americans die every single year. And the Pentagon has been unleashed. Military strikes are authorized. This isn't law enforcement anymore. This is war. And the cartels are about to learn what happens when you attack American families. What you're about to see proves that we're not messing around anymore. The days of weakness are over. Keep watching. Daddy Trump is home. When cartels poison our families with fentanyl, when military strikes target terrorist vessels, when our warriors face real threats, you need protection that matters. Medicare confusion leaves seniors vulnerable to rising costs while chaos unfolds. Chapter makes Medicare simple. In 20 minutes, they compare over 24,000 plans to find the one that saves you money. Their independent advisors work for you, not insurance companies. No commissions, no pressure. Seniors using Chapter save $1,100 yearly on average. And while Trump secures our borders, secure your health care. Call Chapter 910-728-4109 right now. The annual enrollment period will not wait. So the rules of just changed forever, and I could not be happier. For decades, cartels operated like sovereign nations, flooding America with poison that they treated like common street dealers. These days are over. Trump authorized military strikes against narco-terrorists, and the Pentagon, they delivered. 3 vessels destroyed off Venezuela's coast, each loaded with enough fentanyl to kill tens of thousands of Americans. And this isn't about drug busts anymore. It's about national security. When criminal organizations murder 100,000 Americans yearly, that's not crime. It's war. And America just declared it. So watch the moment Trump laid down the law. The cartels received their death sentence wrapped in the clearest language they understand. Total annihilation. Take a look.
You try to poison our people, we will blow you out of existence. Because that's the only language they really understand.
That's not diplomacy. That's a declaration of war. And the military just got the green light to execute. Now, we see what happened within hours of Trump's authorization. The White House released footage of our first strike, a cartel vessel loaded with enough poison to kill 50,000 Americans. And there won't be a lot of audio on this clip, but let's go ahead and take a look at this. I always love these classified footages where they've got like the drone videos just kind of cruising over the sky. You see these terrorists loaded in a boat. They're just not knowing what's about to happen. Boom! And we just unleashed, I would say, a couple thousand pounds of justice on those guys trying to bring poison to our children. I mean, let me know in the comments real quick while you guys are watching. How many of you have family members who were affected by the crap these guys are trying to bring across our borders to our children in our neighborhoods? Let me know in the comments below. Please let us know. This is justice being delivered. I'm so happy to see this happen here. So one vessel down, more to follow. This is what protecting Americans looks like when you stop playing politics. And the Pentagon just informed Congress we're in an armed conflict with the cartels. So watch this explosive briefing that changes everything about how we fight these terrorists.
Breaking moments ago, the Trump administration says it is now engaged in, quote, armed conflict with drug cartels. That's according to a memo to Congress that was obtained by Fox News. Our Peter Ducey has got more on the breaking news live from the White House. Peter, I assume this is in response to the criticisms that have been leveled at the president for taking out those drug boats.
Yes, and John, those criticisms come from Democratic lawmakers who say they are concerned that these cartel members, cartel drug boat captains, are not getting due process before a bomb drops on their head. President Trump and his team do not seem moved one bit by that, and so they drafted this memo making this official to Congress. Part of it says, based upon the cumulative effects of these hostile acts against the citizens and interests of the United States and friendly foreign nations, the president is determined that the United States is in a non-international armed conflict with these designated terrorist organizations. The president directed the Department of War to conduct operations against them pursuant to the law of armed conflict. And the president just talked about this week.
If you try to poison our people, we will blow you out of existence. Because that's the only language they really understand. That's why you don't see any more boats on the ocean. You don't see any boats. Around Venezuela, there's nothing.
And it's not just Venezuela. The president's team is putting out the word that cartels throughout the Caribbean are now on notice.
We in the UN Security Council just took action yesterday on the gangs that have taken over Haiti right off Florida.
So just to put this in perspective, it is armed conflict, not law enforcement. It's war. They are literally making these guys enemy combatants. And the distinction, it matters because now we hunt them under military rules of engagement, no longer on the law enforcement side. And Tucker's team exposed the full scope of this operation. CIA drones over Mexico, Marines ready to strike, the Secretary of War prepared to unleash hell. Take a look.
Cartels are now officially in the Pentagon's crosshairs. And it's not just the wall anymore. Trump ordered the kill shot. The days of local drug busts and random motels, they were fun, but that's Breaking Bad stuff. Trump wants to take the fight to El Chapo's front yard.
We're talking about sending military forces to fight against the drug cartels in Latin America. Do you think it's worth sending our forces, our U.S. forces there to take this on?
Cartels where?
Central Latin America.
Well, Latin America's got a lot of cartels. They've got a lot of drugs flowing. So, we want to protect our country. We have to protect our country. We haven't been doing it for 4 years. And we love this country like they love their countries. We have to protect our country. So, we're playing a tough game.
And think about what they had to do for all these years. In order, like decades and decades and decades, the Democrats let the cartels bring stuff across. Maybe our own government did, who knows? But in order for the Trump to go after these cartels, they had to make our border operationally secure, meaning that nobody could come across to smuggle guns or whatever else to get back at our communities. They made the border operationally secure day one. That was their first executive order, secure the border. And all of this was to build up to what we're seeing now. I'm going to continue.
According to the New York Times, behind the scenes, Trump's moving all the pieces into place to pull this off. Mexico's got a big problemo.
Yes, but it has nothing to do with Mexican territory. It has to do with their country. It does not involve our territory.
So it would be within the United States?
Within the United States, exactly.
El Presidente doesn't comprehende. This isn't a Mexican standoff. This is an order. The CIA is already flying surveillance drones over Mexican territory, gathering intel on the battle space. And Trump's not sending diplomats. He's sending Hegseth, maybe with a new title.
Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, Department of Defense, Department of War.
Well, that's what it was for many, many years. You gave me that knife hand, Will. We'll see. Stand by. I don't get in front of the commander-in-chief on that. But our job is to ensure our enemies know exactly what they will do to them if they threaten us, up to and including total war. So we'll be prepared. Stand by. There might be some news on that.
This is about protecting the homeland from groups like the Sinaloa cartel. They import fentanyl from China and traffic it into the United States. Look at that. Trump designated them terrorists. And if they get cute, they're getting Soleimani'd.
You know who did the roadside bomb, right? Soleimani. Where is he? Where is he? Where is Soleimani?
I love Trump's sense of humor. From surveillance strikes from Mexico to Venezuela, the entire hemisphere just became a battlefield. The cartels, they have nowhere to hide. So here's a strategic briefing showing Marines already engaged. 3 vessels destroyed, 4,000 warriors positioned. This is just the beginning. Take a look.
And this, I guess, was driven by the fact that we do have an amphibious readiness group in the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela, and we have 4,000 fleet Marines that are there. Is that what drove this? Plus, they've taken out, I think, 3 different vessels now over a period of a couple of weeks. Is that what the primary concern was and why they went in there and wanted to get ahead of this?
Yeah, I think so, because Congress has been raging about as you say, the 3 strikes last month, all of them deadly. One of them was against Tren de Aragua. The other 2 weren't specified. And in their memo to lawmakers today, it didn't specify any particular terrorist organization. We're asking for clarification on that. And it doesn't name Venezuela either. I suppose they're concerned that they would be concerned about naming Venezuela. They obviously don't want to get drawn into a broader conflict here. But as we know, Tren de Aragua is the notorious cartel which took over apartment buildings in the U.S. So certainly seem to be using force on American soil, although Democratic lawmakers say that the trafficking of drugs doesn't constitute use of force.
I find it absolutely outrageous that the Democrats are trying to give due process to terrorist organizations from other countries. Literally, Tren de Aragua took over American apartment buildings on U.S. soil. Now they're taking torpedoes. That's the Trump doctrine. You attack our soil, we will end your existence. And Venezuela thought they could harbor these terrorists. And look what's brewing off their coast. Warships, fighter jets, submarines, and Marines ready to seize their ports. And the Washington Examiner confirms this goes beyond drug interdiction. We're preparing to take their infrastructure. That means no more safe harbors for America's enemies. That's exactly why they changed the name from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Watch what military sources revealed about this coming storm. October becomes a month when America stops playing defense against those who poison our children. Take a look.
This month of October is going to be the month the bombs start dropping in Iran again. But my whole question is, if we're doing that or we're supporting that, what does that mean for what we're planning to do in Venezuela? Because I'm hearing from people that we're getting ready to go into Venezuela in the next 2 weeks. I don't know if we can do both at the same time, or if Trump is just planning to do support only of Israel, which is what it looks like right now. He's not even talking about bombing Iran like we did the last time. So this is going to be the question is, what does the sequencing look like here? Because the U.S. is going to have grave difficulty fighting a two-front war if that's what ends up happening here. Not to mention the stuff going on in Europe right now with Russia.
I want to disagree a little bit. America can have multiple war fronts across the world at the same time. One of our carrier groups is enough to destabilize an entire region. So let alone if we have 13 carrier groups out there, we could take care of whatever we need. So I will disagree slightly with him. But two war fronts opening, Venezuela and Iran, the cartels picked the wrong time to test American resolve. They're about to face the full might of our military. So if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this changes everything. This was my make or break for the entire Trump administration. For decades, cartels operated like untouchable kings while Americans died by the hundreds of thousands. They poisoned our kids, they invaded our communities, and they thought America had gone soft. Well, they thought wrong. I almost said a bad word. Trump just flipped the script. No more treating mass murderers like shoplifters. No more letting poison flow across our borders while we play defense. The United States military doesn't do half measures. And when those Marines hit the beaches, when those strikes rain down, and when those vessels start exploding every couple seconds, the world will remember why you do not mess with America. 100,000 Americans dead. They are demanding justice, and their families deserve vengeance. And the cartels are about to receive both. So here's a controversial question. Should America seize cartel assets and territory as reparations for the families of the fentanyl victims? Yes or no? Let us know in the comments, and grab your American Badass gear from our merch shop. Show the world you stand with strength.